when Dave came to Holland, that was for a very serious reason, because he met one of my girlfriends, and Caroline, to marry her.
Yeah.
So he had no idea of the Dutch language, and I wanted to have my book first in English, because I wasn't thinking about a Dutch book. I thought, let's do it directly in English at that time. It was 4 or 5 years ago.
I think it was close to 7 years.
Oh, 7 years. Oh my God, I'm not living in time. Anyhow. And so 7 years ago, so Dave came here and he needed to get used to the Dutch language. I needed an English translator because I was very aware that if you just give your book away, it becomes flat. And I didn't want to lose the depth that I hope to, communicate in the book. And because we're very long-term spiritual friends as well, 40 years, so we understood the depth. And so maybe you want to continue. So that's how we found each other.
Just to introduce myself a little bit, so I'm from England. I worked for 30 years in England in the social sector with youth and young adolescents, or young adults, that were kind of troubled in society. So already we had a shared interest in the development of youth and young adults before I even moved here. So that was one thing we had in common. And then also, when I came here, I took a step into the unknown and became an English teacher. So I was just beginning my career or my job teaching English in high school, to high school students for their diploma. Yeah, for their diploma. And so we had that in common at the beginning, as well as this long shared exploration and mutual exploration into spirituality, enlightenment, but more enlightenment beyond the personal, beyond the individual. So Geesje in her book talks a lot about fields, talks a lot about awakening, but very much awareness and writing of the book is informed by that spiritual background. So I was thinking about the stories, and actually I was reading them because what Geesje particularly wanted me to translate the stories because of the shared spiritual depth, as it were. So, and I was really magnetized by the stories. And in fact, I was reading and trying to choose one from the book to speak about today. But actually I was getting choked up because they're so moving, and the core of each story contains so much, I would say, perennial truth that you can't feel better connected to your own humanity when you read the story through the eyes of children, but also adults or anybody that came into these special moments. So I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, what's the nature of teaching? And what does it mean to be a teacher? And I was thinking, to be a teacher in this manner, you have to be paying attention to yourself, not in this kind of anxious, vigilant way, but in a kind of tender way. And actually the Latin root of attention is tenderness. Also, tenderness comes from that. So you're paying attention to yourself. Then in the classroom, as you can see if you read the stories in the book, she's paying attention to the others, the students, the attitude, the life circumstances, the presentation of the students in the classroom. She's paying attention to that. But then also she's paying attention to the wider field that this is all happening in. So I'm proposing to you that it's the condition of the teacher and what they're paying attention to influences what happens in the classroom greatly. Not in every moment, as we know, because there's many challenging moments, and depending on what school you're in, whether it's conducive to these kind of experiences or not, that will vary. But this was what I feel that Geesje's magic that she was bringing into the classroom, she influenced what the students experienced in these particularly moving stories. So I thought I would pick out one story. Actually, there's too many layers and too many effects in each story to go through one story. We don't have time. But I thought I'd select one story. You'll talk about it a little bit, and I'll read some things the children produced. I'll speak about that, and then we'll round off the story. Do you just want to hold that a moment?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
This is
I
about Roy.
had no idea. Only this morning I heard what story he chose in the book.
So this is a story about Roy, and Roy is a student that I think is having troubles in the classroom generally, and there's a big accident, and he shatters a statue on the floor of the classroom. You want to say a bit more about that, Geesje?
Yeah, it was in, I think, 6 pieces, beautiful portrait of clay, and it was completely gone. So I asked him, so what are you going to do about this? And so he ran to the back of the classroom, and I just continued teaching. And he had immediately 2 helpers who, with a dustbin, you know, helped him to gather the pieces together. He came back after probably half an hour, and then he put a note in front of me saying sorry, and there were no words, only sorry, but he had made an incredible drawing of an eye. And he told me that he wanted to look better next time, that it didn't, you know, that it would not happen again. So I was just so touched by his apology in a way of a drawing. Were no words. He wanted, and he said, the eye is important because I need to see more.